My family mocked my cheap wedding and refused to come. Then I exposed them with A2M yacht ceremony. It all started when I arrived excitedly at the family home with the invitations. It was nothing extravagant, but we had made them with love. My mother looked at it as if I had handed her a pizza flyer. "Are you serious? A wedding this simple?" She tossed the invitation onto the table as if it disgusted her. Oh, what a shame. My brother snatched it and showed it to his girlfriend, holding back laughter. "Look, my sister is having her grand wedding here, is not it picturesque?" His girlfriend covered her mouth, feigning pity. "Oh no, how sad." My father did not even turn around. "Do not count on me. I am not going to make a fool of myself." "But Dad, no buts. That is not a wedding. It is a neighborhood block party." Just then, my aunt walked in as if the universe needed an additional chorus of mockery. "What are you talking about?" "About the girl's little wedding," my mother said with contempt, as if it pained her to form the word wedding. "Oh yes, my friend already told me. She says it is such a pity she settled for so little." My brother let out a loud laugh. "They are going to think we have run out of money or something worse." Deep down, I had already sensed this would happen. I did not expect a standing ovation, but hearing it from their own mouths, so raw and unfiltered, was like receiving a slap in slow motion. As I put away the crumpled invitation, something broke, or maybe something hardened inside of me. They would see who really had the miserable wedding. I did not sleep that night. My family's words replayed like a song, but it was not just the words from that afternoon. It was an echo. The final verse of a cruel opera I had been listening to my whole life. Sitting in the darkness of the kitchen, the humiliation of the invitation dissolved into a carousel of sour memories. I was 19, introducing them to my first boyfriend, an incredibly sweet guy who worked as a mechanic to pay for his studies. I remember my mother's frozen smile and her later comment in private, "Darling, love is nice, but it does not pay the bills at a garage. Aim higher." At 23, when I announced I was leaving the law degree my father had chosen for me to follow my passion for graphic design, my father did not even look at me. "So much investment in your education for you to end up making little drawings. What a disappointment." And the constant comparison to my brother. His promotions at a marketing firm were celebrated with expensive dinners. His new cars were a source of family pride. When I sold my first piece to an independent gallery, my brother joked at Christmas dinner, "Well, at least it pays the rent." There are levels to everything, right? The same phrase he had used a few days ago, it was always the same, worth measured in money, status over affection, appearances over happiness. This was not about a wedding, it never was. It was about me, about choosing a path they could not brag about at their social club. The kitchen clock struck 3 in the morning. The weight of a lifetime of slights settled in my chest. It was then that I told my fiancé everything. Not just about the invitation. I told him about the mechanic boyfriend, about my career, about my brother, word for word, including the pauses. "My father said you would leave me in ruins," I told him, my voice breaking. I saw his jaw tighten. "That is not the worst part," I whispered. "My sister already told the whole family they are not coming, so no one gets their hopes up." Just like that, with those words, he was quiet for a long time. Then he took my hands with a calmness that surprised me. "I have to confess something to you. My family is not what you think." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean?" "My father does not just sell furniture. That is his hobby, a small side business. He actually owns a real estate development company that builds luxury resorts and hotels all over the world. We have been working with international investors for years, but he always told me to keep that private here. People will treat you differently if they know you have money," he would say. I was speechless. "Are you kidding me?" "Not at all. And my mom is not a housewife. She is an architect with contacts all over the world." He ran his hands through his hair. "When I tell them what your family did to you, they want a money show. We will give them the show of their lives." The next day, we went to his parents' house. They had always treated me like a daughter, but this time when I told them what had happened, I saw something else in their eyes, something more protective, more personal. "I cannot believe they said such things to you. Anyone who messes with the woman my son loves messes with us," my father-in-law said with a calmness that gave me goosebumps. "What do you need for those people to eat their words?" My mother-in-law stood up without a word, went for her tablet, and started typing rapidly. "They are going to eat their words. This will be the wedding of the year." She called her assistant in Dubai. "I need you to book the yacht for a private ceremony, yes, the 200-foot one, and contact the photographer who worked with the Al-Rashids." While we were planning, my mother sent me an article on WhatsApp about how women suffer when they marry someone of a lower status or practically lower class. The message read, "Something for you to reflect on." "These people have no shame," my mother-in-law muttered, looking at the message as if she could not believe what she was reading. That afternoon, we sat down to analyze my family's Instagram profiles. My mother-in-law took notes like a detective in a noir novel. "Your sister is obsessed with brands. Look, Gucci, Louis Vuitton," always tagging the stores. "Your mom brags about her Cancun vacations as if it were Paris." She laughed. "And your dad, his newest car is a 2018 BMW, and he posts it like it is a Lamborghini. They are just posturing," my father-in-law concluded. "People who are secure in their position do not need to show off so much." My mother-in-law created a private Instagram account. She added 3 of my distant cousins and 2 acquaintances from work. "The gossip has to filter out naturally," she explained. "If we add too many people, it will be suspicious." 3 days later, my brother posted photos from a weekend at a local resort. The caption, "Enjoying the good things in life. There are levels to everything. Did you see this?" I showed the screen to my mother-in-law. "Perfect. Now we know we are on their minds." As a test, we bought a Hermes bag and a Rolex watch. My mother-in-law took casual photos of me at an elegant cafe and uploaded them to our private account with the description, "Coffee dates before the preparations." The next day, my distant cousin commented, "What a beautiful bag." That night, my aunt texted me, "My dear, I hear you are buying expensive things. Would it not be better to save for a house?" My mother-in-law burst out laughing. "The gossip has already reached your family. I bet they have a WhatsApp group talking about your new lavish lifestyle." She was not wrong. My cousin later told me that someone in the family chat wrote, "They are already spending what they do not have. They will be in debt before their first anniversary." "The bait worked," I told my mother-in-law. "Now comes the fun part," she replied, showing me the contacts on her phone. "You know what? Every luxury wedding needs witnesses, lots of witnesses." My mother-in-law started making calls in Arabic. My father-in-law, meanwhile, was speaking in English with someone in London. My fiancé translated bits and pieces. Royal wedding photographer, flowers from the same place the Prime Minister's daughter got married, band that plays at the Burj Al Arab. "Is this too much?" I asked, half laughing, half trembling. "Love," my fiancé said, taking my face in his hands. "My family has spent 20 years building palaces for people who spend in one night what your family earns in a year. This is not too much. You deserve this and more." My mother-in-law finished a final call and smiled at me. "Done. Your family wanted a decent wedding. They are going to have to eat their words when they see what a truly decent wedding looks like." That night, as I checked the photos we had uploaded to our private account, I saw that my sister had tried to follow us from a fake account. My mother-in-law had rejected the request without blinking. "Let them die of curiosity," she said. "The desperation will drive them crazy, and when they see the real photos," she paused and smiled in a way that gave me chills, "they will understand the true meaning of the word miserable." When we boarded the plane to Dubai, we knew what we were about to do. It was not a simple trip. It was a strategic deployment. First class, champagne served before takeoff. Not a word more. I posted a story of the glass with the label facing the camera, my hand with the ring visible and an airplane icon. Nothing more. It was just the first piece of bait. Upon arriving at the international airport, a chauffeur in a crisp dark gray suit greeted us holding a tablet with our names. I did not even record that. I waited until we got to the hotel. Not the hotel where we were staying, but the one my in-laws helped build 5 years ago, where their name is still engraved on one of the marble walls. A discreet photo of the lobby, a silhouette of me with a view of the Burj Khalifa from the room, and a message on close friends. Sometimes life has a way of settling scores. We knew someone would leak those stories. It was only a matter of time. The first day was for acclimating. We walked through the mall with my mother-in-law's designer, who already had the dress fittings ready. We bought a few casual pieces of jewelry. My mother-in-law posted photos of me from her private account, knowing exactly who was following and what comments they expected to read. Day 2, a yacht trip along the coast. Still no ceremony. The yacht belonged to a partner of my father-in-law. 200 feet, a deck as white as snow, opulent without being vulgar. I posted a photo of the skyline from the water at night with soft lights reflecting on the sea. The caption was, "A modest view to start our life together." Someone, I do not know who, took a screenshot. 30 minutes later, my brother commented from his account, "Did you win the lottery or what? Be careful with debt, little sister." I read it while getting my nails done. I did not even reply. I just showed it to my mother-in-law. "Perfect. They are biting," she said. My mother was not far behind. She commented on another photo, this time of me and my fiancé at a restaurant. "Daughter, I hope you are being prudent. Love does not pay the credit cards." We looked at each other and burst out laughing. They did not know it, but they were engineering their own downfall. Day 3, we decided to intensify. We posted a carousel of pre-wedding prep photos, professional makeup, close-ups of haute couture fabrics, a view from the suite where the dress hung on a gold hanger. In one photo, a glass of champagne was visible, held in my hand. The ring sparkled more than usual. We posted another with our hands intertwined, his Patek Philippe watch, my ring. The text I wrote was almost surgical, marrying the richest man I know in values, in spirit, and as it turns out in everything else too. Thank you for teaching me what true worth is. My cousin's comment did not take long. Is this the same Carlos everyone thought sold chairs? Another one replied, brother, Google his full name. I just fell out of my chair. Someone did and shared it. A cousin sent a screenshot of a Forbes article. Carlos, followed by his last name, the silent architect of luxury hospitality in the Middle East. And then another, founder of the Green Humanity Foundation, multi-million-dollar donations awarded in Geneva. Those links reached the family group chat. Screenshot after screenshot. Someone even sent his LinkedIn profile, and then silence. The family chat, which until that moment had been a machine of comments, theories, and contempt disguised as gossip, went mute. 15 minutes. Nothing. No icon. Not a wow, not a congratulations, just the weight of their pride collapsing in real time. Then came the cleanup. I watched as the comments from my mother, my brother, and even an aunt disappeared. They deleted everything as if that could undo the entire story. But there was no going back. Day 4, the big day. The ceremony was on the yacht's deck at sunset. There were few guests, my fiancé's parents, 2 close family partners, and a few of our friends, all chosen with precision, each with a social media presence, each with high-profile followers, each a part of the plan. The ceremony was intimate, perfect, without unnecessary eccentricities, but without skimping on details. White flowers, soft live music, a violinist who played as I walked towards him. My dress floated in the wind. When we said, I do, there was no exaggerated ovation, just a shared, natural, real smile. Then came the star post, a photo on the deck just after sunset. Me in the dress, him in his suit, embracing with a backdrop of warm lights. We published that image with the phrase, "Thank you for joining us in this new chapter." It was not a common wedding. It was a unique, intimate, and unforgettable event. And below it, a second photo, us with his parents. The caption was direct, infinitely grateful to my new parents for making our dream wedding a reality. Family is who chooses to be there for you. I tagged my father-in-law. His profile was private, but his name was already circulating. Then the panic began. First was a text from my father. What is all this? Are you humiliating us? Where did you get that money? Then my mother, why did you not tell us you were going to do something like this? You left us out on purpose. And then my sister, via a voice message I still have saved. I think it is horrible that you exposed us like this. People are asking me if we are poor. Is that what you wanted? I did not respond. The best part came next. My parents' friends who do not even follow me started commenting publicly on my photos. How beautiful. I did not know your daughter married Carlos. Congratulations. We went to an opening of one of his hotels in Qatar. Wonderful people. Their masks fell off in front of their own social circle. They could no longer pretend they were above anyone. They looked like the resentful, the ignorant, the ones who failed to see. And then, as the final nail in the coffin, the reel. It was 40 seconds long but looked like a movie. Drone shots entering the yacht's bow, white flowers falling as I walked, champagne being served, the final kiss, the night view, all professionally edited. Not a single second was wasted. The views skyrocketed. And then something unexpected happened. One of my father's friends shared the reel on his personal Facebook with the caption, "When love and elegance combine, things like this happen. Congratulations to the family." He tagged my father. It was the ultimate public humiliation. The attempts at control had slipped from their hands. My family started sending me audios one after another. Honey, we need to talk. We could celebrate something here, right? We can have a second, more informal celebration with everyone. One even said, Grandma is asking why she was not invited. And I just watched the notifications roll in. My mother-in-law said it best as we drank tea on the hotel terrace. Sometimes the best revenge is not to destroy anyone. It is simply to show them what they lost by being so arrogant. She was right. The tension was at its peak. The masks were off. The truth was public. And best of all, I had not said a thing. I just showed the reality they had always denied. They dug their own social grave. I just turned on the light. A week after returning from Dubai, the doorbell rang at 7 in the evening. My husband went to open it. I heard them before I saw them, the falsely cheerful voices, the cloying tone they had never used with me. How great to see you, son. It was my father with a manufactured warmth that turned my stomach. My husband called me from the entrance. Love, your family came to visit. I walked down the stairs and saw them. My father with a smile that seemed to physically hurt him, my mother carrying an expensive gift bag, my brother nervously playing with his car keys. But what struck me most was how their eyes barely grazed me before locking onto my husband as if he were the only important thing in the room. "We brought some little gifts," my mother said, pulling a Chanel bag from the larger bag. "For you, my daughter." She extended it to me without looking at me directly, as if it were a formality to be completed before getting to the important business. My father offered my husband a box of Cuban cigars to celebrate. "I knew you had the makings of a champion from day one." And I just stood there invisible, the woman they had humiliated, ignored by the very people who had raised me. My brother had not even greeted me. His eyes followed my husband's every move as if he were a celebrity. "Sit down," my husband said with a calmness that sent shivers down my spine. "But I want my wife to be present for this entire conversation. It is my turn to defend her." They settled in the living room. My mother continued to address only him. "We wanted to get to know you better. Please excuse us if we did not give you the welcome you deserved." My father laughed nervously. "It is just that sometimes one misjudges a person's character. But it is clear you are a man of the world." My brother, who could not stay quiet, jumped in. "In fact, I have an incredible business idea, apps for luxury hotels. With your experience and my technical knowledge." My husband let them talk, let them do their calculations, their proposals, their desperate attempts to co-opt him. I felt like a ghost in my own home, watching my family behave as they never had with me. Then my mother did something that broke my heart. She took out my grandfather's watch, the watch I had asked for so many times, the watch they denied me because, according to her, your future is not secure. "We wanted to give you this," she said to my husband. "It is a family heirloom. You have proven you know how to value important things." That is when something inside me snapped. 20 years asking for that watch, 20 years being told I was not ready, that I would not take care of it, and now they were giving it to him as if it were a bribe. My husband finally spoke. His voice was calm, but there was something glacial in every word. "Let me see if I understand." He looked directly at my brother. "A month ago, I was your sister's charity project, right?" My brother turned red. "That was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" My husband leaned forward. "How do you misinterpret enjoying the good things in life? There are levels to everything." He turned to my father. "And you? You told me I was going to drag your daughter into mediocrity, that when I left her in ruins, she should not come crying to you." My father tried to interrupt. "Look, son, I am not your son." The coldness in his voice could have frozen the air. "And you?" He looked at my mother. "You said our wedding was so embarrassing it did not deserve your presence?" My mother stammered. "It was a misunderstanding. We were worried about her." "Worried?" My husband stood up. "Do you know what the most pathetic part of all this is? I have not changed. I am still the exact same man you met. The only difference is that now you know my father has a bigger bank account than yours." The silence was deafening. "Their problem was never my wallet," he continued. "Their problem was that they measured their own daughter's worth by the man she married, and when they thought that man had no money, they decided she was worthless too." I saw my brother swallow hard. My father stared at the floor. My mother fidgeted nervously with her hands. "But this is what you will never forgive yourselves for." My husband took my hand. "The biggest insult was not to me. It was to her. You told your own daughter that her love was worthless, that her happiness was an embarrassment, that her wedding was miserable." His voice hardened until it was sharp as glass. "An extraordinary woman who loved you unconditionally, and you treated her like trash because you thought she was marrying someone poor. Do you know what that says about you as people?" My mother tried to speak. "We love her." "No," my husband cut her off. "You loved her conditionally depending on how much money her husband had. That is not love. That is convenience." He walked toward the door. "The only family I see in this room is her. The watch stays here, the gifts too, and you will leave now." My father stood up, stumbling. "You cannot throw us out like this. We are her family." "Family?" My husband looked at him with pure contempt. "Where was that family when she needed your support? When she was crying because the people she loved most humiliated her on the most important day of her life?" My brother tried one last play. "We can start over. Forget all this." "Like you forgot your sister when you thought it was not convenient for you?" My husband opened the door. "No, some wounds are not forgotten. Some wounds are remembered forever." He watched them leave one by one. My mother tried to hug me as she passed. I pulled away. "Honey, please." "I am not your honey anymore, Mom," I said in a voice I did not recognize as my own. "I stopped being that the day you decided my happiness was an embarrassment to you." When the door closed, my husband held me. I cried like I had not cried in years, not from sadness but from relief. Finally, someone had defended my worth. Finally, someone had put my dignity above everything else. "Do you regret it?" I asked him. "Regret what? Marrying the most valuable woman I know? Building a real family with you?" He looked into my eyes. "Never. They lost an extraordinary daughter. I gained an extraordinary wife. There is no comparison." That night, as we were gathering the gifts they had left, I found a note from my mother under the purse. "Please forgive us. We were wrong." I tore it up without finishing it. Some apologies come too late, some wounds are too deep, but for the first time in years, I felt whole. I no longer needed their validation. I no longer needed their conditional love. I had something much better, a family who chose me for who I am, not for what I have. 6 months later, the consequences continued to ripple out. My brother was fired from his job. His boss, who had seen the whole humiliation on Instagram, told him, "We do not want people with that kind of judgment in this company." I knew because my cousin told me in a message she later deleted. My parents became social pariahs. At their club's annual charity event, people openly ignored them. They were seen as greedy fools who had bet on the wrong horse, according to my aunt. In an awkward phone call I cut short after 5 minutes. We blocked my entire family on social media. The digital silence became our new peace. No more toxic notifications, no more emotional blackmail, no more manufactured drama. My husband burned a letter that arrived from my mother without letting me read it. "Protection above all else," he said simply. I did not argue. Some wounds do not need more salt. We decided to legally change my last name to his. It was symbolic, cutting the last formal tie to that family. The day I signed the papers, I felt freer than ever. The poetic justice was complete. In their desperate search for status and wealth, my family lost everything: their family connection, their social reputation, and any chance of accessing the world they so craved. They were left with their poverty of spirit. The real wealth was never my husband's money. It was the dignity I reclaimed for myself. It was learning that family is chosen, not inherited. It was discovering that unconditional love exists. It just does not always come from where you expect. Some wounds break you, others rebuild you stronger. This was one of the latter. I no longer need their validation. I no longer wait for their regret. I no longer carry their toxicity. I have something much better, a life of my own, built on my own terms with people who chose me for who I really am. And in the end, that is worth more than all the luxury weddings in the world. So now I ask you, have you ever had to choose between keeping family peace and defending your own dignity? Was the cost worth it? Or do you think I should have swallowed my pride and forgiven them? Because after all this, I still wonder if I went too far or if I did not go far enough. To better understand the nature of the problem, let's temporarily set aside the emotions of the main character and analyze this series of events from a broader perspective. At its core, what unfolded here was not about a wedding, wealth, or even revenge. It was about how easily love becomes conditional when filtered through status, appearances, and social validation. Many families quietly operate within this same unspoken system. Worth is measured by income, respect is reserved for success that can be displayed, and family harmony becomes a convenient excuse to silence pain and maintain image. In that environment, affection is no longer freely given. It is earned, negotiated, and, at times, withdrawn. What happened in this story is simply a more visible version of a dynamic that often stays hidden behind polite smiles and carefully curated gatherings. And yet, stepping into that truth requires something most people are taught to avoid: disruption. I think about the moment when silence was finally broken, not with shouting but with clarity. Because here's the uncomfortable reality: choosing to expose injustice within a family is often labeled as betrayal. You are told you are hurting everyone, being ungrateful, or breaking the peace. But what peace is that, really? A peace built on humiliation, dismissal, and emotional neglect is not peace. It is control disguised as harmony. And if you've ever stood in that position, you know how heavy it feels to carry both the role of the good child and the quiet weight of being undervalued. I want to speak to you directly for a moment. There is a difference between destroying a family and refusing to participate in a system that diminishes you. Drawing a boundary does not erase love. It reveals whether that love ever existed without conditions. It takes a rare kind of courage to say, this is where it stops, especially when everything in your upbringing has trained you to endure, to forgive endlessly, and to stay small for the comfort of others. But growth often looks like disobedience to those expectations. Sometimes the most honest act of love is not reconciliation. It is distance, clarity, and self-respect. And perhaps the most powerful shift in this story is not the public exposure or the poetic justice, but the quiet realization that followed. Validation is not something you beg for. It is something you stop needing. When that happens, the entire dynamic changes. You are no longer reacting, no longer proving, no longer shrinking. You are simply choosing. So let me leave you with this. If the people who call themselves your family only show you respect when it benefits their image or status, would you risk losing them to protect your dignity, or would you keep the peace and slowly lose yourself instead?